Hello, my name is Sarah Gordon and I am the course leader, the new course leader. So I thought I would use this screencast as an opportunity just to tell you a little bit about myself, what I get up to, what I've done previously. I met some of you previously in the beginning of the year on the level 4, but it'd be really nice just to say hi to the rest of you. So I'm new to Sheffield. I started in January this year. My previous work has been mostly in Bradford and Calderdale, which is the Halifax area. My most recent job before January was as an assistant head teacher in a large primary school in the middle of Bradford. I was responsible for early years in Key Stage 1. It was a really tough, tricky job. But I loved every minute of it, and the community, the vibrant community, the multicultural if that's a word, of the community, the various different languages that were spoken, made it such a vibrant school and very exciting and very tough at times as well. During my time as an assistant head in this school, I was the leader for early years across a collection of about 6 schools. So I would pull together these schools and we would meet regularly to discuss the needs, changes and updates for early years practice. Previous to that, I worked at St Edmunds Nursery School and Children's Centre, which is a large nursery school in the middle of Bradford as well, as an assistant head teacher and a SENCO. Had a lot of dealings with children that came into our settings with additional needs, but also we were a specialist centre where children were assessed for quite significant needs as well. I was also a specialist learner in education. That meant that I supported anyone working in early years across the local authority. I also ran training and developed a training programme for early years teachers and PGCE students, as we had what was known as a SCIT across the nursery school, which was a centre for teacher training. And our university link was Sheffield, and that's where the links with Sheffield began. Before that, I was a consultant, an early years consultant, fabulous job, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I did that for 8 years. So I worked with anyone across the local authority in Calderdale that worked with children 0 to 5. So I feel very lucky. I've had an extremely varied job. Obviously started off as a TA, then went as a teacher, and then moved very quickly into other roles within education. So my current role at Sheffield Hallam is course leader. Which is why I'm introducing myself to you now for the level 5. I'm also the course leader for the new short courses, which you'll see advertised more on the website, ready to start in January. I'm a module leader, so you will hear my voice and get to see me occasionally over the modules that you take over this next year. I also work with the early years teachers on their PGCE year, so I will be teaching and tutoring and supporting them throughout this year as well. Just a little bit about my education journey. It was pretty bog standard, really. I stayed at the same school to do my O-levels and A-levels, found it really difficult, wasn't what I would call academic. I struggled, I had to work really, really hard, and it wasn't until I went on to do my degree that I understood what academic writing was all about and the rules and regulations of it. So I scraped my A-levels, went to do a performing arts degree at Leicester de Montfort University, and I majored in dance, and I was going to be a professional dancer. However, at the end of that, I realised this is not the world for me. I did not want to move into this professionally or as a job. Still really interested in it casually, but not for a job. So then I got lots of different jobs. I worked at venues, music venues, art venues. I worked with adults with special needs. I worked with children with special needs. I think it was during that time that I realised I really did want to go into teaching. So I took a year out and I did my PGCE. I then taught in several schools and local authorities, and then stopped really my study. I just needed to get my experience on the ground under my belt, and it wasn't until I got to Bradford working in the nursery school and children's centre that I took on more studies, my SENCO qualification, which is a level 7 qualification, and this was whilst I was working and with children. It was a difficult task, but I managed to complete it and thoroughly relieved and pleased that I did stick to it. There were times when I thought, what have I taken on here? So I have a lot of empathy for those of you studying and working at the same time. I then had a break again, and it was over these last 2 years that I decided to do my Masters in Leadership and Management Education. Again, really tricky time, no face-to-face, all online, needed to be really resilient and have a lot of self-study skills up my sleeve. And again, there were times over the 2 years when I thought, what have I done? But successfully managed to complete that this year. Just a little bit about my immediate family. My mum and dad at the top right hand corner there, Jenny and Quentin, who live in Peterborough, so I try to see them as much as I possibly can. My daughter Alice and her partner Danny, she's 20 and she lives just down the road from me, so I get to see quite a bit of her, and she is working full time. My son Ben, who's 22, he is a BMX biker. He has had several sponsorships, so he's been concentrating on that over the past few years up in Manchester. He is now decided that he wants to go back to university, so he starts at Bristol in September to do environmental management. And on the right hand side is my partner Richard, and that's just a recent picture of us at Bingley Festival. So I do understand what it is like to balance work and study. I have huge empathy for you, but also I think I will have a lot of strategies that I can help you with. So please, please, please don't leave it to the last minute when you are beside yourselves and tearing your hair out to contact me. Contact me before that point, and together we can work out a plan to get you through this year of work, working full-time work and probably having families and studying at the same time. So my biggest message to you is keep calm and carry on. Just a little bit about my research interests, which have changed over the years depending on what role I find myself in. But now in Sheffield, early years is my passion. I'm really interested in trauma-informed schools, particularly over the last 2 years, because I've seen a lot of trauma and the impact and effect that it has on children's ability to access learning, really. Leadership, really important in leadership qualities. That's what I concentrated on in my MA, and what it is, what is the qualities that a really good leader pulls on or uses the most. I also have a passion for music, specifically Kodály music, and the way that this can impact on children's speech and language. So just a few things about the things I love to do when I'm not at Sheffield. I love live music and festivals, as you know. Bingley Festival was my last one with Rag and Bone Man, who was absolutely immense. I love sharing great food with friends and red wine and the odd gin and tonic. I have a camper van, and I've named her Vera the Van, and we do a lot of camping and exploring with friends and family. I've been able to have a couple of canoe trips, most recently up at the Spey in Scotland. Fabulous experience. And the bottom picture is just, this is me. This is, I do like to challenge myself. There are times when I find myself in the middle of a challenge thinking, why have I taken this on? But I never regret the fact that I've done it and always managed to meet that challenge at the end. So this year is going to be a challenge for all of us, really. So we will support each other through it, and good luck.